everyone. Thank you for coming to our special panel discussion. This is co-sponsored by the Faculty of Languages and Culture and SALC, Self-Access Learning Center. At the SALC event, this is number 2 second SALC brown-back dog. I understand that last week we had the first talk given by a professor from Canada about microbiology. And today we have Korean people, the student from Ewha Women's University. They are all on the debating team. Ewha is top female university in Korea, I believe, and also among the top of the university, and also very competitive in debating in English. They participated in World's Debating Tournament and so on, and in the past, their team won the championship of the EFL section of the World's Tournament, that English for English as a foreign language. So just like Japanese students here, most of the students there are learning debate and English as a foreign language, not the second language or not native language. Kyudai's team did okay, but hasn't reached the top yet. They are hoping, and we can get something from Ewha's strong team, as well as we can hear the kind of background information about Korea's English education and also the debating. We have here Professor Peter Kipp from Ewha Women's University. He is teaching English and writing, I believe, and also coach or advisor to debating team. And we have 4 Ewha students. Yeah, they will join the panel later. First, let me give the podium to Professor Kipp to introduce the background of English education and debating in Korea. Peter?
Thank you very much, Professor Inoue, and good afternoon, everybody. So, yeah, I'm really happy to be here. As Professor Inoue said, I think the student population at Kyushu University and the people I work with at Ewha are very similar in many ways. So we are all learning English and trying to use English as a tool, but also there's some room to have fun and use English as a game and a competitive sport, and that's what debating is all about. I know some of you are already debaters in the English-speaking society. Just so I have some feeling for my audience, how many of you are debating right now? A few, okay, but most of you are not. So I think I prepared correctly for this audience. Since you don't know much about debating, you haven't been debating, I've started with very basic background about English education in Korea and about debating in Korea. And that should give you enough information about who these 4 people are, that when they discuss their English study and when they discuss their experiences debating, I hope it will make sense. I think you'll find that they're very similar to you in their feelings and their thoughts, and I'm very curious myself about the answers to some of the questions that I'm going to be asking them. So I'll go on and give you some background. If you have a question and you'd like to stop me and ask, please do. We've planned for about an hour of activities, but we have an hour and a half of the class. Well, now we have about an hour and 20 minutes. Anyway, we still have time for extra questions if you like. So, let's see. I have to go like that. Right. Okay, contents of the talk. First, an overview by me. Second, the panel discussion featuring the 4 students who I'll introduce in just a moment. But if you want to preview, on the back of your paper there are biographies and introductions from all 4 students. And then at the end, a free question and answer session. So while I'm talking and while they're talking, think of questions you might have. If it's a really important question, go ahead and just jump up. Yeah, literally, if you want, jump up and ask. Right? If you jump up, I'll be very surprised. I'll stop. I'll be sure to let you ask your question. It's probably a very good tactic. If you're not that urgent, you can write it down or you can ask it later. Or maybe someone will ask it anyway. First, the overview of English education and debate in Korea. And the first point I want to make about English education in Korea is it's very similar to Japan. It's highly test-driven. Everyone talks about exam hell. And we have that in Korea too. So beginning in grade 3 elementary school, students have to start learning English. They have to learn basic vocabulary words. They have to make very simple sentences. And then through grade 12, they're required to take English all through high school. They're also required to take an English section on the National College Entrance Exam. It's not an optional section. Everyone has to take it. And in almost every college in Korea, about 87% of Korean high school students go on to 2-year or 4-year college. But in every one, they have to take freshman English classes. So there are also minimum TOEFL and TOEIC scores required to graduate from a 4-year college. And in most jobs with any big company, minimum TOEFL or TOEIC scores even to apply for the job. So students are tested all the way through and they feel a lot of pressure to improve their English from the beginning. Second point I want to make. There we go. Okay. That in Korea, the way people respond to this is sort of separate but unequal. There is an unequal elite track that people with enough money or enough opportunity will follow. And that elite track means they don't just go to regular school classes, even though regular school has classes from grade 3 through grade 12, but they also get private tutoring for test preparation and for university entrance. It's a really big business. I don't even know the exact number of won or dollars or yen, but it's a huge business in Korea. There's in-home tutoring where people will go to your house and speak English with your children. There are private academies starting in preschool when children are about 3 or 4 years old, where they will teach English and have English activities. Also, some people more and more are sending their children abroad. There's what they call a goose father phenomenon, where the father is like a goose who's separated from the migrating family. So the mother and the children go and they live in some place like Australia or New Zealand or the US for maybe 5 or even 10 years while the father is separated. The father just sends them money so that they can study English. And I don't think any of my students are that extreme, but more and more people are doing that. There are also special purpose high schools and foreign language high schools. Special purpose is supposed to mean, according to the law that set it up, that the school has some specialty like art or science or mathematics or social research or something. But almost all of them actually focus on foreign languages and focus on college admissions. So they don't really fulfill their original goal. They just drill people in entrance testing and they make them take more English classes. I've had students who said they majored in French in a foreign language high school, but they spent more time studying English than they spent studying French, because that's what those schools do. And finally, one reason why people do all those things is that there are special admissions routes to college for students who are fluent in English. So there are many, many special admissions. At my school, Ewha, about 60% of students get in by special admission, not general admission. And some of those are special admission because they're athletes or as some kind of affirmative action for poor people, but most of them are special admission because they have some kind of special privilege, basically, that they've lived abroad so they can have a special admission for people who lived abroad. That's why you have the goose fathers sending their children to study abroad for 5 or 10 years. They have special admission because they're entering what we call a division of international studies. And that admission process is done all in English, and then they take all their classes in English. They even have their own debate club. Our debate club is pretty much like you guys. Their debate club is people who have, many of them lived abroad and who have studied all in English. And then you can pass an essay exam in English to be admitted. And it's not just Ewha, but all the elite universities do something similar. So there are lots of extra opportunities. So this is sort of the elite track for people who can afford all these activities. Then they have some kind of extra bonus or extra benefit to be able to enter a university, and they consider themselves somewhat elite as well. Moving on to debate education in Korea. Looks like I have to press this twice. Okay, right? So debating then is a specific activity related to English. And to give you a little bit of background, first point is about history and scale. But it went backwards, so the delay is a bit strong there. Okay, history and scale of the debating program. English debating in Korea started in 2003. This is actually much later than Japan. In Japan, I think since World War II, you've had English debating, policy debating at least, which is Professor Inoue's background. And parliamentary debating maybe since about maybe the 1990s. Right, so Korea maybe only about half the time of Japan. But in Korea, they're very focused. Like if they see something that they think is an advantage, they throw themselves into it very energetically. So it's developed quite rapidly. The driving force is high schools, because the parents want their children to have an advantage getting into college. So high schools and even middle schools now are having debating programs, and academies, private academies, are offering debating programs for high school and middle school students, and even elementary school students have debating programs in private academies now. They're the dominant component. There are more than 30 high school clubs in Korea, and they're all around the country. More than 600 debaters. I have no idea of the actual scale, but it's huge. And at least 10 regular competitions every year for high school students. This is about twice as much or more than colleges have. There are about 15 college clubs. There are probably about 10 or 11 strong ones, and then sometimes other ones sort of come and then they go. There might be a year or two where nobody competes, and then somebody restarts the club in some other schools. There are maybe 300 debaters, plus minus, in Korea, college debaters. And between 5 and 7 regular competitions, although there seems to be a trend to be having more. There are some smaller competitions that just recently started, but regularly about 5. It's dominated by foreign language high schools. In the high school level, the foreign language high school students win most of the tournaments, although not all. It's nice, actually. The very first high school championship, there was a foreign language high school team and a team that spoke English, sort of, you could tell that they never studied abroad. But the team that spoke English badly had better arguments and they won. Everybody could tell. The team that spoke English well was just trying to show off their English. And it was really nice to see the other team win. Personally, I was very happy. But still, it's dominated mostly by the foreign language high schools. They have this built-in advantage where English is easier for them. And students preparing to study abroad. Some of the foreign language high schools do not even let all their students debate. They only let students debate who are in special tracks inside the special school to prepare for college in a foreign country. And then on the college level, it's dominated by divisions of international studies. So the strongest clubs in Korea are the ones that are focused on the special division where everyone has English classes and gets admitted to the college through a special admission in English. Those are the biggest clubs and the most powerful clubs. And occasionally clubs like ours do better than them, and that makes us happy. That's what we work for. So anyway, that's sort of the background of debating in college. In terms of college clubs and their system, most college clubs meet twice a week, about 11 weeks per semester. There are only a few elite debaters who regularly attend international competitions. Most club members just compete in Korea and practice with their clubs. But at any given time, there are probably about maybe 15 to 20 debaters who travel around to other international competitions fairly regularly and really try to become very, very competitive on an international level. There are very few coaches. Maybe 3 or 4 clubs have coaches out of the total 15. Ours is one, obviously. But most don't. Instead, the seniors in the club teach the juniors, which is pretty much what happens at ESS, although I know Professor Inoue also helps to some extent. There's no official funding except for one school. One school, it's a new school. It was founded in 2008. This is called the Solbridge International College of Business, with the idea of being a special international college. And it actually is an international college. About 60% of its students are from foreign countries, not from Korea. But it has a really big debate club, and they have funding to go to championships abroad. They get their plane tickets paid for, they get their registration fees paid for. It's the only club in Korea that does that. All our others we fund ourselves, except for rare events like this when Professor Inoue invites us, for which we're very thankful. And then national championships usually have about 80 teams, roughly. For British parliamentary, which has 2 debaters per team, then maybe 100 teams. For Asian style, maybe 60 or 70 teams, but somewhere around 80 teams from 12 or 13 clubs. Because out of the 15 at any given time, there's usually 1 or 2 that are inactive. And then finally, trends in debating. This is, I think, my last slide before I introduce my panelists. So there are more high school alumni now who are entering college debating. It used to be that all the high school debaters would go abroad to study, and none of them would debate in college. But now we have more high school students coming in to debate in our college clubs. I mean, we even have 1 or 2 in our club here today. They debated a little bit in high school before they came to college. There are also more college alumni staying involved as coaches or as private institute teachers or as tournament organizers, or etc. In fact, a year and a half ago, 2 people who had finished college and graduated, a couple actually, a man and a woman who, well anyway, romantic couple, but they decided they liked debating too much to give it up. So they founded an organization called Debate for All, which tries to get government funding to go into disadvantaged neighborhoods and teach debating to people who otherwise don't have very much exposure to English. So definitely the debating scene is maturing a bit, and we're having more expertise staying in the debating circuit, which means the debating should get even better in the future. There's a professionalization of the judge pool, where people are subsidizing, paying for judges to come to tournaments. And the people who attend the tournaments as debaters then have to pay for it. So on the good side, you maybe get some good judges. On the bad side, it makes tournaments more expensive, though, and that maybe discourages people from participating. I have very mixed feelings about that trend. British parliamentary, BP, is becoming more popular than Asian style. It used to be all Asian style only when we did debating. But about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, we started debating British parliamentary in Korea, and it's become more and more popular because it is probably the most popular form worldwide. And then finally, the newest trend, just this summer, there seem to be several small tournaments for about 40 or 50 teams where anybody can debate. So actually, I am debating 3 times this summer in tournaments. In my whole life, I only debated in 1 tournament before, 1 year ago. But this is going to be 3 times this summer because anybody can participate. So I'm going with a friend from China next week to debate in a tournament. I'm going with one of my DAE members to debate in a tournament in the beginning of August. And then I'm debating with a friend from a different club in another tournament at the end of August. And then maybe I'm coming to Kyushu University for a tournament too. I'm not sure about that. Probably as a judge if I come. But that's a new trend. So debating does seem to be picking up, and people seem to be getting even more excited about it, which I think is good. In the end, it should attract more people. Right now, it's still mainly fueled by some of the very elite top-level debaters who are doing this, but I think it's attracting more and more people. So that's sort of a bit of background for what these 4 people are doing. And we're ready for the panel discussion. Before I go on, would you like to ask any questions now?
What is the British Parliament style?
British Parliament style, if you are participating in the workshop tomorrow, you can see an example and do it yourself. But basically, it's like in the British Parliament, you have many different parties, right? It's not just like one party, like Liberal Party and Conservative Party. Actually, in the Japan Parliament as well, right? You have several parties, although only 2 have much power. But in Britain, actually, there's a coalition between liberals and conservatives that are the government in power now. And then the like middle of the road party, right? The Labour Party is actually out of power. So they have 3 powerful parties plus extra parties. So it's like that. You have 4 different teams all competing to be the best. They debate pro and con on a specific issue, but it's an alliance where 2 teams try to work together to support an issue, but they try to do better than each other. And likewise to oppose an issue. So that is the most common form of debating around the world these days. And the World Championship is done in that form. Okay? Anything else you'd like to ask now before we go to the panel discussion? Okay, I'm going to introduce my panelists then. If this thing, there it goes. Okay, first panelist, Yeojin Kim. She graduated from Gyeongnam Foreign Language High School, one of those special schools, in February 2013, so she's special. And she entered Ewha University a month later, March 2013. She majors in political science and international relations. She spent 3 semesters debating so far, and she was an EFL finalist in the latest Spring 2014 Korean National Championship. Go on up and say a few words.
Hello. As you have introduced, my name is Yeojin Kim, and I'm majoring in political science and sophomore. And currently, I am one of the members of leadership committee in Debate Association of Ewha as a PR public relations officer. And it is an honor to meet you, and I hope this discussion will be an enjoying moment with you and all of the guys. Thank you.
Hear, hear. Our second panelist. When it decides it's ready. Here we go. Okay. Chae-din Kim also graduated February 2013. Actually, all these people graduated February 2013. I don't have to read that part. From Ewha Girls Foreign Language High School, another special school associated with our university. She entered Ewha the next month. She's also a political science and international relations major, has spent 3 semesters debating, and was 6th best speaker at the Winter 2014 Asian Debate Institute.
Hi, my name is Kipp, and I'm also a sophomore at Ewha Women's University. And I didn't expect like so many crowds to be here, but thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Here. There's a long delay. Pushing and then. Okay. Our third panelist, Jung-ah An, also graduated in February 2013 from Oryu High School, a normal high school. She's normal. And entered Ewha University as a political science and international relations major. She's been debating just 1 semester.
Hello. I hope you too enjoy this moment. And thank you for inviting me.
You're here. And last but not least, Seoyoung Yoon graduated February 2013, Nupurum High School. That means like always pure or always natural or something like that, right? Yeah, always natural high school. She's not a political science major. What's wrong with you? Business administration major. She spent 1 semester debating. Right, I'll mention.
Hi, I'm Seoyoung Yoon, and I am a sophomore from Ewha Women's University, and I major in business administration, and hope you enjoy our panel discussion. Thank you.
We also have 2 more members who are coming in tonight. They just took their final exams today, their last final exam, so they couldn't be here now. But they'll be with us tomorrow for the workshop. So I think if you're interested in attending the workshop, Either formally for credit, you can talk to Professor Inoue before you leave today, or informally, you can just show up tomorrow, let somebody know who you are, that you're here, and unless it's like 20 people, we can certainly accept a couple extra people if you'd like to come tomorrow. So the details, I believe, are all on the handout you got.
Not really.
No, not all. Okay, talk to Professor Inoue if you'd like to come tomorrow.
We officially closed the registration, but you can still register. So talk to me, and I can put you on for credit purpose. If you do not need credit, you can just show up tomorrow. The debating classes will be held third floor, building 1. Third floor, building 1.
Okay. So I'm going to ask these people a series of questions. They'll give some answers. They've had a little bit of time to think about these in advance. So I hope it'll be interesting information that makes some of the details come alive about what debating is like in Korea and what English education is like in Korea. And then after that, ask them questions. And if you really have an urgent question, just, jump up. And maybe, is there a light? Is this the light? Yes, I think that's better. Now you can see their faces. And, okay. This should,
Right?
no, that's fine. I think it's a dark background, so that's right. Okay, so question 1 about English education in Korea. What is your earliest memory of using English? First person, Yeojin.
Okay. The very first memory that I can remember that.
Maybe you use the microphone. Okay, get it. Yeah. Take it.
Yeah, just pass the microphone around. I think that'll work. Just take it out.
The first memory that I had studying English is that when I was 4 years old, in Korean, which can be translated into 2 or 3 years old in Japan, I studied alphabet, but I think in that period, it took more than 2 years or 3 years to get used to learning English and learning alphabets. And that is the very earliest memory that I have regarding studying English.
Okay, Jaden, go ahead.
I think I basically started to study English when I was about 6 or 7 years old by looking at the English basic books about saying hello and hi. And I guess I tried to memorize those sentences that they had in the book and tried to make it into my daily life.
Okay, and Janga.
My earliest memory of using English is when I was elementary school, third grade. That's in the class with American English native teachers. So that's my first experience.
And Sayo.
My earliest memory of using English is actually when I was in elementary school. I was second grade, I guess, and I did some kind of English conversation practice with my Native American teacher, and the teacher came to my home and did practice English speaking and also sometimes read some English books, and that was my earliest memory.
Okay, next question, which I think Chaedin is up first to answer this one, is during grade school and high school, what methods did you use to study English?
For the grade school, in order to enter the foreign language high school, I had to be really good at listening to English. So I practiced by listening to CNN or ABC, American or British news. And I tried to write down the scripts of what they are saying by word. And I think it really helped me to improve my listening skills and vocabulary. For the high school, also in order to enter the college, I needed TOEFL and other exam scores. So I thought for those mechanisms, I tried to read a lot of newspapers as well, since reading was one of the important methods in order to improve reading or writing or whatnot. So I try to utilize the methods that were around.
How about you, Yujin?
Along with the method that she has mentioned, such as dictation and shadowing, how can I say? I tried myself to be interested in learning English, so that I tried the mechanism which is about like American dramas and pop songs, so that I can continuously listen to them, and so that I can get accustomed to learning English, and so that I do not necessarily feel the language barrier between English and making it as one of my hobbies to do so.
And Sayong, you were going to answer that.
I had lived in the United States for 2 years, and I spent my 8th and 9th grade there. And during that time, I used reading English books for improving my English skills. And I first started with Harry Potter series, and later moved on to more difficult level books like I think that was Price and Prejudice. And through reading English books, I can improve and learn some English expressions and words and sentences that I can use in daily life, and it was really helpful that time.
Great. Next question is going to be for Yeojin, but I think like you and Jungha can share this one, and then the two of them can share that one. That might work well. Okay, I think it'll switch. Yes, there we go. So this is a rather long question. At some point, did you ever identify yourself as being good at English? Like, I'm good at English. That's part of my identity as a human being. If so, when and why? And how did that part of your identity affect the way you related to other people around you and the way they related to you?
Honestly, I cannot say that I am like super fluently in speaking English or using English, but still I got some compliments when I was young, saying that even though you are learning English in Korea, which means that you are an EFL student, still you're using English in a nice manner. And I think these kind of compliments affected me to understand myself as, okay, English is not something that is considered as a burden, but rather it is something that you can use as another method to approach the world. And I think that is the huge effect that I get from identifying myself as somewhat good at speaking English.
Okay, and Jungha, how about you?
Actually, I don't think I'm good at speaking and using English, but sometimes when I have conversation with foreigners who use English, and then I understand them and they can understand me also, then and that time I think, oh, I'm not that poor at speaking and using English, and kind of I'm good at speaking and using English.
Here. Okay, how about you, Jaden?
I think the basic change happened starting from when I actually started learning the TOEFL, because previously I only can speak regarding the daily conversations, but after studying the TOEFL, I got to read about the materials that actually appear in the college level test, and also speak and write in the matter of professionality. So I think from that period, it was the kind of change made from daily to professions. And also it affected me when I speak or write in certain matters, because previously what I did was I just spoke out whatever was in my mind. But after learning the TOEFL, when it was an official situation, I got the argumentation, elaboration and examples and summary and whatnot. And I think those kind of like basic professional style learning was important for me.
Yeojin, next question. How important, wait for the slide, how important in general do you think English skills are for success in high school and in college admissions?
If we are regarding the success in high school, I think if we are including the high school admission, especially for me, because I graduated from a special purpose high school, which is foreign language high school. I think in that sense, high school admission, English is one of the most important factor in order to get into high school. And also, when it comes to high school success, like in terms of English grades, I think because English is considered as one of the essential parts in university entrance exam, in that sense, English is important as well. And also, when it comes to college admissions, we have, as Peter Kipp professor has already mentioned, that we have the special admission type that actually prioritize the fluency of proficiency in a foreign language. I believe that English is one of the biggest factor that actually influence to the situation whether you get into university or not.
Okay, Jung-ah, do you want to add anything?
As a graduate student, being lower high school students, actually I don't think the English is not that important for me because except the special type of admission process, as I'm a normal high school student, I just need some English skills for 수능, the Korean SAT. So I didn't think English is really important, but now I became a university student. Now I thought English is important in my life.
Okay, so that's our next question, actually. And maybe, Jung-ah, if you want to start. Officially, Chaedin was going to start, but since you brought the topic up, how about in college? Aside from debate, where and how do you find English skills important?
Firstly, when I entered university, I realized that there are so many people who using and speaking English very well. So I was a little bit shocked because I didn't do English that very well. About our English lesson is, our English lesson is taught by a teacher who always speaks English, and they didn't speak Korean, so I have to learn English more, and I have to study English very much. And to get a job, as the Professor Peter mentioned, English. The English score is very important, so I think English is important.
Right, and Chaedin, how about you?
I think it becomes more convenient in your life when you're good at English, because in college also you can skip the classes of basic English lessons if you get certain scores of TOEFL or TOEIC, and they also give you extra credit if you have that kind of scores. So it's really convenient for your life. And also, if you're good at English, I think it will be more easier to understand English taught lessons and get better grades. Besides from the college, I think it's important for your life as well, since it is a universal language. Even though you might not be good at certain language when you're in certain country, if you're good at English, I think it would help you tremendously when you travel around and such.
And Soyoung, anything to add?
Aside from debate, I think I find English skills important in studying business fields. As I major in business, a lot of textbooks are actually written in English, so it is really helpful to have good English skills as understanding marketing, accounting, or information system management, and a lot of sections in business. And also, we do have a lot of English presentation during our business lessons. So it is really great to have English skills, as I can present my opinions in English fluently and also share my opinions with other students in my business class. So I think aside from debate, business fields can be beneficial for as learning English skills.
I have an extra question for you. To graduate from Ewha with a business major, how many classes do you have to take where the professor lectures in English?
I don't know. I think
Not exactly.
not exactly, but a lot of courses and lessons consist of English lectures, and it is more convenient to listen to English lecture because all the textbooks are written in English, so it is better for us to understand business concepts or definitions by English. So I think listening to English lecture is better for learning business, I think.
I asked that question because in my department, which is English language and literature, actually even now students don't have to take many classes in English. If they look very carefully, they can take classes where the lectures are all Korean. But our department is debating that now. We're debating whether we should change everything to all English lectures since we're the English department, right? The business department actually probably has more English language lectures now than we do, so it's a little embarrassing. Okay, brief moment to pause if anybody has a question you'd like to ask, because we're going to switch the topic now from English education to debating specifically. So rather than make you wait till the end, if anybody would like to ask a question about English education now, it might be a good chance.
You can ask questions in English, in Korean, or maybe Japanese.
In Japanese, Professor Inoue will translate, interpret, I hope, or one of the other people. Oh, that's a good idea. Well, 10 seconds. Now they're all just going to watch my fingers. Nobody's going to think of questions. They're going to be like, how can he move his fingers? No questions, really? Okay, well, let's move on to debating then. We have, I think, 6 more questions to go with several answers. So this one, everybody's going to answer. I think the person who agreed to start was Jung-ha. What first attracted you to debate, since you thought English wasn't so important?
This year, I searched some club to join, and as Yojin is the PR of the English Debate Association, DAE. She just say, come on, join this club. She don't say anything, just good, join. So I just joined the debate club, and after joining the debate club, then I found the debate is really good because firstly, as my dream is an international lawyer, so I should learn some logical thinking, and through debate, I can learn logical thinking, and English skills are also improved. Yes.
Okay, pass the mic to Soyeon.
Since English is really important in many sections and studies, I first started to debate for improving my English skills, and as well as improving my English skills, I think debating is really attractive for me to learn how to think logically and how to organize my thoughts, opinions, and arguments in more established forms. And yeah, so that first attracted me to start debate.
Okay, and Yeojin?
During the times in high school, I participated in some tournaments, and that made me not to fear in joining university debating club at the very first place. And also, one of the acquaintances that I have has already recommended for me to joining a debating club. But not only that, I thought that because my major is political science and international relations, questioning about how and why is going to be an essential part. And in that sense, I thought that there is a similarity between debate, and that is the reason why I joined the debating club in Ewha.
And Taylor?
I started debate in high school, but I quit after going for like a week.
because firstly, there were too many people who started debate from their early age, from their middle school. And since I started when I was in second grade, it was too late for me to start it all over. And also, I was afraid of losing because when you debate, there's always win or loss. And I was afraid of losing because if I lost, I thought that I have contributed to my team's loss and overall. However, I met another person who told me that no, debate is not only about losing or winning, but it's rather about improving yourself to be a better speaker and to be a better person who can analyze your thoughts and thinking in more broad and in more big picture. So I started debate again in the college.
Okay. Starting with Jaden now. When it changes, there we go, right. What is the biggest challenge you face now to improving yourself more as a debater?
I'm kind of a biased person who only like politics and who is only interested in the politics matter. But when you debate, you cannot always debate about politics. You have to know about gender equality, welfare systems, and economics and business and whatnot. And it was really difficult for me to study those matters and debate in those matters because I wasn't interested in economics at all. I wasn't good at mathematics, and I wasn't really interested in knowing these stuff. But I think it's also one of the benefits that you can have from the debates because you can also know about the different factors, which is also important in your life overall, to know about the basics of economics and the welfare systems and others.
And who's next? Yeojin.
The biggest difficulty or biggest challenges that I have in debate is that in general I find it is quite difficult to make a really concrete and nice case because even though you have a lot of characteristic or a lot of reasoning and examples, still if you don't have a nice argument, you cannot win with a big margin between other team. So I think the biggest challenge that I have currently is that I find it quite difficult to make a nice case, and it's hard to make hard to structure a nice argument in that sense.
Okay. So Janga.
The biggest challenge for me is struggling to overcome the fact that I started too late. Actually, I started debate this year by joining this debate club. And however, in debate societies, there are so many people who started quite earlier age, like middle school students or high school students. But however, so I really first I thought I'm late to do this, so I should give up this. However, I didn't because I think most of you also think I'm late to learn English, or if I learn English, I will have to do many in the world. However, to overcome this fact is really important, and by overcoming this, I can improve myself. So the biggest challenge is overcome this the fact.
Okay, Sion.
As a debater, it was difficult for me to organize my arguments in a short prep time. And also, since I was not used to debating, actually I started debating this year. And since I'm not used to debate, even though I have many opinions, I have hard time organize my opinions in the form of arguments. And also constructing my whole arguments into 7-minute speech was really difficult for me at the first time.
Okay. Next question, Yeojin. when it comes. It's coming, I think. There we go. Right. Could you explain how does the Korean debate community deal with differences between EFL speakers and those who have already acquired fluent English skills?
As one of the EFL speakers or EFL debaters in Korean community, I think it was quite surprising to hear that Japanese debating community do not have any EFL League or EFL awards, EFL Best Speaker awards. I think the biggest difference is between biggest distinction of Korea itself is that we have Division of International Studies, where students who have acquired their English ability in abroad when they were young, and in order to cherish the people who actually wants to compete in the tournaments with the ESL students who speak English as a second language and who are fluent in English, I think we have, in terms of domestic tournaments, we have EFL leagues, and we award the people who have the nice ability to speak and who challenges to the people and who didn't fear to compete with them.
Yeah. Since most of these people aren't debaters, maybe I should explain a little more. I was just thinking. So before we go to the next question, right? In a tournament, if you have, let's just say 50 teams, maybe after you debate 4 or 5 or 6 times, then the teams with the top scores and the top records, they go on to a final series. So it's like the World Cup, right? Right now you have the preliminary rounds and then only 16 teams go to the final round. So same thing. You have 16 teams. But because we have these international studies programs, because we have people who have been debating since they were in elementary school and they went abroad for 5 years, so those teams, they go to the finals series. But then we have people who just study English as a foreign language, EFL. People like Yeojin or Jung-ah, people who started debating late. So we give them an extra chance. Maybe their team was like number 21. They can't get into the regular final, but they were the best EFL team. So they get up, and then the next one is number 23, number 27, and number 28. So they have their own mini final series. Just those 4 teams, they have a semifinal, EFL semifinal, and then EFL final, and then one team is the champion. So the top team here gets a champion prize, but the top team here also gets a champion prize. And I think, well, in the World Championship they do something similar, but that's what Yeojin was saying. In Japan you don't do that in your tournaments, but we do. Because we have this very big division between this elite track and then everybody else. And we want to give everybody else some motivation. I don't really debate competitively, but I used to do fencing. Like not this, but this. So I was never that good, but my thinking was always, okay, if I can get to the final series, it's like one more chance to have a match, one more chance. So it's a nice idea, I think. That's what they do in Korea. Does anybody want to add anything to that explanation? No, it's good. It's an incentive. It's an incentive to try harder.
But that means there are many ESL teams participating.
Right. Well, technically ESL, right? English as a second language, not as a foreign language, right? If your country's main language is not English, everybody's ESL. So even the people who went to international high school and foreign language high school and went abroad for 5 years and came back, and then they're in Korea and they have their classes in English in college, but still they're ESL technically. Because when they go shopping, they use Korean. When they talk with their parents, they use Korean, and so on. So it's not that English is their main language. It's sort of equal, a second language. Here, EFL, it's definitely not equal. It's a foreign language. So everybody in Korea, or almost everybody, is ESL. But also, many people are ESL, but not EFL, because the second language is almost equal to the first language. But our club, I think technically, Chae-ryun, you're ESL in Korea, right? How many years did you live abroad?
1.5.
1.5. It's a pretty strict standard. It's more than one, right? Anybody who lived more than 1 year abroad, you're automatically ESL. Anybody who goes to an international studies division and has all their classes in English, they're automatically ESL. Oh no, if they've been in international studies for more than 1 year. If you're a freshman in international studies and you studied in Korea all your life, you're still EFL. But this is so that it's nice to get a prize. I think Napoleon, right, the French general said, you can pay a soldier a lot of money, but he won't do anything. But you give him a little piece of brass to put on his chest and he'll die for you, right? So prizes are very strongly motivating factors for people, I think. And we try to do that. And the World Championship does that too. In fact, the World Championship has the regular finals, and it has ESL finals, and it has a third category, EFL finals, all three. So our team won this one once, and we were finalists once. There have been 3 Korean teams in history. No, that's not true. 5 Korean teams in history that got into the ESL final series. Nobody ever made the champion yet. But we're hoping, right?
Who's winning the ESL? People from Singapore or?
Right. Well, mostly Singapore, actually. Since English is their official language, they have to go into the main series.
Oh.
But Malaysia, Indonesia, Israel is very strong. I think Israel won ESL for 4 years in a row at one point. Germany, the Netherlands, those countries are very, very strong in ESL. And then EFL, it's Korea, Japan. I think Japan won EFL twice. Keio and Todai, I think, once each. And they've had other finalists from Japan as well. China, what other countries? Venezuela, other Eastern Europe, many Eastern European teams, like Slovakia, Slovenia, Croatia, those teams tend to be EFL.
And regular mean the British?
Regular, British, Americans, Singapore, India, right. India counts as regular. Although, it's not a totally objective category. There's no absolute standard for how good you are or how natural English is for you. But they make some standard to encourage people. Okay, let's go on to the next question, which is, one of my favorites, if it comes up. Go, go, go. Here we go. What kind of reaction do you get from other people your age when you say you're a member of a debate club? Jung-ah, you're supposed to start.
When I tell people that I'm a member of debating club, then people always say, "Oh, you must be good at speaking English," and they also say, "Does it fun or does it?" We think that sounds like boring, but however, I think it's not that boring and also fun. And although you are not good at speaking English, then although you are not good at speaking English, but you can join this debate, and also you can improve your English skill.
Okay, and whoever wants to go next. Chae-ryun, I think you were scheduled for this one.
Right. I often hear that it looks boring and it's kind of geeky, but I tell them that it's actually very fun because you can meet friends from all over the world, including Venezuela, India, Romania, Afghanistan, and whatnot. And also, even in Japan, like I know at least 2 friends from every big cities in Japan. So I think it is really good advantage that you know a person when you travel or go to other countries. And also, I think it makes me a better person overall by studying debate matters and broadening my perspective about the things that I haven't thought about before. So if I hear the words like it's geeky or not fun, I tell them those words.
And Soyoung, anything to add?
Whenever I tell people that I'm a member of a debate club, they think that I'm really good at English and really fluent in English like a native person. So they sometimes kind of make me do all kinds of English presentation. So it was really important for me and sometimes and yeah.
You mean they make you cheat for them on their homework?
Not like that, but they kind of pass me all English presentation stuff. So that was really hard for me too.
Okay. So that's too bad. What benefits have you gotten from debating so far? So, Yeojin.
The benefits that I got from debating is that I keep questioning myself when I look at the current phenomenon or certain issue. I keep questioning myself why and how it happened, and I think it's really nice for you to think in a deeper sense. And in terms of grades, it is reflected with really nice grades when you are thinking about how and why. And also, as she has mentioned, because you have a chance and opportunity to meet a friend who lives in different countries, you have a better chance for you to widen your perspective and get interest to other stuff, such as I have a close friend who is Japanese, and he made me to get interested in learning Japanese and and to know about Japan. And I think it is one of the best way for you to be interested in other topics that you haven't faced yet.
Okay, and Janga, how about you?
Firstly, as Yeojin said, it can make me think deeply and can think logically. So when we solve some material and some problem, then I can see that problem more deeply and can solve easier than before I didn't debate. And and about English, before I started debate, my English skill was more lower than this. So by practicing and by debating, I can improve my English skills really, because actually in our circumstance, we don't need to use English that quite often, but if you do debate, you should use English. Then naturally the English skills are improved, and as Cherin said, through debate we can meet many people and we can learn from them also.
Okay. And Soyoung, any benefits to countervail the harm of having to do people's presentations for them?
Actually, since I participate in English debating, I can feel that my knowledge has been widened, and I am really interested in more broad perspective of life. So I'm really happy that I can widen my knowledge in broad aspects. And also, aside from that, I got to know many great people in our debate club society, and I'm really happy to be friends and acquainted with them.
Okay, last question, unless you guys have more to ask. So, If you have thought of any questions, just wait about 2 more minutes, maybe 3, you'll have a chance. All 4 of you, what are your debating goals for the next semester? And how do you see your time spent debating relate to your future goals in your life? Jaelin, go first.
I'm going to Free University of Berlin next semester, which was also this year's ESL champion of World Universities Debating Championship. So I'm planning to learn more from Berlin Debating Union and get my skills more improved. And I'm also hoping to go to championships, which is located in Europe and United Kingdom.
Okay, and Janga or Yejin, go ahead. You can go.
My personal goal for next semester is that I dream to become a champion in EFL League, if it is possible for me to make an EFL team and participate in tournaments, and especially for the international tournaments that we have, such as Northeast Asia Open and the World University Debating Championship. My personal goal is to participate in an EFL League and get a great score so that I can improve further.
Okay, Sayon?
My debating goals for next semester is participating in DAE session diligently and also participate KNC tournament. It is one of the biggest tournament in Korea. And if that is possible, I want to get an award from KNC tournament, and that was my personal goal.
Okay, and Janga? You mentioned being an international lawyer.
By debating, I want to learn more things to that helpful to become big my dream come true, to make my dream come true. And about debating, my goals for the next semester is to become the finalist of EFL, and to do this, I will participate as many as possible, and many people think I think to participate as many as possible is very good opportunity to improve myself and to become good debater. So I will do that.
Okay, yeah, good luck to all of you. Right, so this is now the last section of the talk.